To make the square knot dog toy, the only supplies that you really need are 2 t-shirts, and you can use whatever color shirts you want, and the material of the shirt doesn't matter, but if both of the shirts have the same material, it typically works out better, and a pair of scissors. The first thing that you have to do is cut off the end strip of the shirt right at the bottom of it, because the fabric is normally thicker than the rest of the shirt, and it just would not fit well with the toy. Next, you're going to cut 4 strands from each of your shirts, making them about 1 inch in thickness. Also, don't worry if your strips aren't perfectly straight, because it doesn't really matter in the end. Make sure that each of your strands don't include the bottom strip of the shirt, because then that section would stick out in the toy. So you need 4 of each color, so 8 in total. Now that you have your 8 strands of your shirt already cut, you're just going to take each strand and cut it right on its little seam. So just cut it there so that it's just one long link, and do that to all 8 of your strands. All of your strands cut, you're going to take each of them, now that they're just one long piece, and start at the end and pull it, and just pull it all the way through. This kind of stretches out each piece of the t-shirt, and so it should look a lot more circular and smaller. So you're going to do this to each. Kind of stretched out all of your different strands. You're going to grab them all, the ends of each of them, and just kind of line them up all together. And you can kind of do this by color, or you can do it randomly. It doesn't really matter, but just make it so they're all pretty equal on the end. And then once you've kind of got it all in your hand, just tie it. Just tie a normal knot. So kind of loop around, then go through, and then pull it tight. Next, what we're going to do is section off the different colors of the toy. So since I used blue and green, I'm going to put 2 green here together. Also, if you want to make toys thicker, you can just use more strands of t-shirts. The thickness just really depends on how much of the shirt you use. So I got 2 strands of green, and then I'm going to have 2 strands of blue, and then I'm going to go 2 strands of green, and then 2 strands of blue. So kind of make it into like a cross formation with your one color going this way, and then the other color going that way. So you can kind of see my blue are here, and my green is there and here. Now we are getting into the actual square knot part of this video. So I changed the view of the screen, hopefully, so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing better. So first we're going to grab this strand right here, and we're just going to take it and put it over the green and right next to the blue, and just kind of tuck it there. So all we did is we moved it from here to there. So next we're going to take this green that we just crossed over. We're going to go across, so like over the blue, and tuck it behind the green on the other side. So you should have this kind of L. So we just took it from here to there. And next we're going to take this blue that we just crossed over and go over the green across the way, kind of like we did with the last 2, and just tuck it on that side. So we have this. And last, we're going to take the strand that we haven't done anything with, and we're going to go over this blue that we just did and under the first loop that we created by crossing that blue. So you can see my thumb kind of went through it. So you're going to go over this blue and under this one, and then just pull it all the way through. So the first one is always the hardest. So once you've got it, pull it tight. And when you do that, you should see this kind of box form with like the 4 different corners. So once you've done that, you know you've done it correctly. And from there, we just repeat the steps. So you're going to take this blue and go over this way, so just across the way. So the next thing you do is you take the one that you crossed over. So we're going to take this green and go over, And then since we crossed over this blue, we're going to take this blue and cross over. And then we're going to take the final green one and go over and then under. So it's best to kind of pull this first one out once you've done the other ones and go through it. And then once again, pull it tight. And it should still have the same box look that it did. So from here, you just keep doing this same knot over and over until you get to till you have about 6 inches left on your shirt, or you've got to the desired size of your toy. So once I've done the square knot enough to get my toy to its desired length, even though I have t-shirt left over, that's okay. We can just cut off whatever's left over. So your toy should kind of look like this, and each side should be a different color with the knots on top of each other like that. And if they misalign, you probably misaligned your square knot somewhere along the way, which is okay. If you want, you can undo it and go back and fix that, or you can just leave it. So now, once you're decided that your toy is long enough, you're just going to take the end and kind of loop it a little bit just to make it easier, just to turn it. And then you're going to make a knot just like you did at the beginning. So just pull all this through. And try to get this knot as close to the end of the toy. That way you don't have leftover. So just kind of keep pulling it so that it's at the very end, so that you have a knot on either side. And now you can just cut off the leftover strands. You can cut off, really, it's up to preference how much you leave at the end. I normally do about 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut that. So once I trimmed off my first side that had the long strands, I normally go back and trim off the beginning end as well. That way both sides are just at the desired length. And now you've completed your toy.